Hello everybody, welcome to the Olimoleague. It is the first series of the day, and you might be able to tell that I'm a little tired. My throat's not sore, but rather I still have some trouble speaking to the fullest capabilities that I usually have, so I'm going to sound different. But yeah, going to be solo casting as Rifkin was getting sick at Austin, and after, of course, all the traveling and whatnot, it's pretty rough. So I kind of anticipated it, to be honest. Either that we, one of us either forgot, or that one of us was too sick or too tired. But he was definitely more sick for longer. So here I am. That does mean that I'm probably just gonna take advantage, full advantage of breaks, and so, not actually speaking. So, might not be the most baller of casts, but I'm gonna try. Anyways, fix the sound real quick, so it's probably way too low for you guys. And let's get into this best of 3. It is a best of 3, and it's probably the best one to start off with, as it is aLive versus herO at TvP. Kind of surprised that they phased through this so quickly, but if you do look at the bracket, and I think that the bracket command has been updated, it makes a lot of sense. There are a lot of really good players today and this morning. I mean, kind of like everyone I would ever expect and hope to see. Sue, Innovation, herO, aLive, blah, 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 blah. So, it's pretty sick. Now, let's do the intros. In the bottom, or that's the top. In the top right, is the red tear, and it is aLive, who is going for a command center first. And in the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, it is Root's herO, who went for a Nexus first. Nexus first can be a bit tricky for Protosses, because almost no matter what, they're going to have to deal with a Reaper, and they're going to have a little bit of a problem. But Cactus Valley is one of the maps where, one, you can just assume that the Reaper Scout's going to be late, and two, you can also, I don't know, like a 30% chance, let's say, depending on the mood of the Terran players of the day, I suppose, that they're going to go for a command center first as well, and not even get a Reaper at all. So, I think herO realized that aLive hadn't scouted an SCV, which he did not. He's only just now doing it. So herO was going to try and fake him out with a Photon Overcharge rush, because that's what herO does usually, so makes sense. But really the the 3 racks follow-up to command center first is actually very good at dealing with that. One day I'll be able to fix Twitch alerts to actually work, but today is not that day. Thank you to Moving Laterally for the resub 28 months. It's a long time. Oh, there's an infinity button now. Damn. Better Twitch TV, please. Anyways, Stargate on the way. SCV is going to get in here, funnily enough. I mean, it might have been worth using an overcharge to stop that from happening, but the Adept actually does two-shot it down. Not that it was on the way anyway, so it probably wouldn't have gotten back here quite so much to see that Stargate. And aLive just go ahead and push out. I mean, even if the Oracle does pop up, aLive seems to already predict that's going to be the case, as, it's a pretty quick Nexus. And if you were to tell that, then, well, actually, I think it's just more like TvP. There's a lot of Oracles, right? So, if you saw that the third base is also being put down, rather, that would even, I think, further prompt them to try and do something about it. But one Oracle into third base, something that a lot of Protosses always try and get away with, and sometimes it really does backfire. Not a lot of Photon Overcharge, as there's only one pylon, pops it, but now has to deal with the Oracle and 2 Adepts. And that might be enough to just cut the Marine count, basically. I mean, if the Adepts die, that's not so bad. If the Oracle dies, that's a little worse. So aLive's probably going to try and target fire that one, if it does go in here, to try and help out. There you go. Mothership Core is going way too far forward, but there really is not a shot at there being a medevac drop or something like that, if the opener was that 3 racks, and in fact it was. So, pretty safe for him to do that. And even only loses the single Adept, so really not that bad. If the Marines had gone straight to the third base, and this pylon wasn't done, it might be a different issue, as it was quite a lot of Marines, but didn't happen. So, Sim is only really just on the way, as the tech lab took its time to get added on. Still no reactors on his barracks either, and just building up to that factory. Again, that starport's going to be just super late. off of this early attack. And herO, after dealing with that so well, I would say is definitely in a very good position.
Game paused.
How come Buell doesn't really play in these games? Well, Buell has either been focusing on his bigger leagues or he's been sick. So, I mean, sometimes he does, but not lately. Here, just asking for a pause and saying sorry.
Game resumed.
There you go. So 2 oracles now swooping in. Missile turrets were built even a long time ago, really, and not gonna be too much there. But gonna be, of course, available for Revelation. And here really doesn't have a lot of control over this game. If the oracles swooped in and saw just how late that starport was, he probably kind of roughly knows the timing, considering the opener and then the follow-up marine push. He's just gonna feel super, super safe. So actually gets Revelation here. He's gonna see a factory that is building already, and that like. It's like kind of suspicious, like maybe they could have a reactor, I suppose, already, but not likely. So maybe he's gonna assume that it's building a reactor and the starport's not quite ready yet. Proxy pylon put down because I think it's just a good idea to have a proxy pylon, even if he's not gonna be like super aggressive with it. But he is getting his gateways, he's getting blink +1, they're about halfway done, being chrono boosted out as well. And yeah, if he wants to be aggressive, definitely add on that gateway. And he's pretty much going to be able to hit, I mean, if aLive just immediately picks up his units, which is a possibility, if Revelation ever wears off, then those Blink Stalkers could really cause trouble. They move into that natural, and the medics have to swoop on back, and they might get cut down before they can unload. But even if he doesn't catch them, whoopsie, okay, let's say you get a second Oracle, right? Even if he catches them with, like, you know, total preparation, it's going to be a lot of Blink Stalkers, so good control could do a lot. But he sees, actually, there's another Revelation, of course, but also the Oracle just straight up saw the medevacs being loaded into. Still lives. Stalkers and a lot of sentries, good God, are going to be coming in here. I mean, you know, it's going to be Blink and +1, but they are still Blink Stalkers, so Guardian Shield is necessary. Hopefully some good force fields as well. Maybe a couple of Adepts to help soak up the damage if he really wants to. But if he had done the attack, there wouldn't have been combat shields and +1. Oracle dying here is actually a pretty big deal, as that is the second Oracle going down, so Observer is going to be his only coverage for a while. But actually using his Warp Prism to just warp in a ton of Adepts, try and buy some time or at least distract. The aLive moves into the 3rd base. There's a lot of Photon Overcharge available, 3 pylons after all, and I think with the Guardian Shield plus a single Immortal, that's just going to about cut it. A couple of Marines actually dipped into the natural and got that one single pylon, so that stops +1 armor as well as Resonating Glaives. I mean, actually, decent probe damage with 10, but on the other side of the map, the Adepts got 12 SCVs. Now, if they all die, then I guess that's more Adepts wasted for only 3 more workers killed. So that might favor aLive, like, a little bit, but... He scans ahead looking for the Observer. That's pretty funny. Usually Terrans are really good at seeing that Observer, so that was a pretty bad move from aLive. He loses one of the medevacs instantly. The rest go into that main base. There isn't a lot of defense in the main base, so instantly trying to warp in here. That should be just in just enough time. These do have +1 attack, but so does aLive, and, well, that's not going to work out. If all 4 medevacs had unloaded, I mean, without the sentries, without the Guardian Shield, maybe if the Immortal had been walking forward first, like, this could have been really different, but that was certainly enough Blink Stalkers. Warp Prism's still alive. Gateway's still providing excellent, you know, counterattack harassment, and aLive, I mean, he was already so dedicated on 2 bases, getting those other 2 barracks really quickly, and being cut down like that as you're being aggressive is pretty bad. Liberator is going to try and do something, but it looks like Flucid Phoenix actually scouts it, and he's just going to bring it home. Cat, your paw is really close to the pause button. Can you not do that? I've never seen you do this before. Stop it. Okay. Yeah, scan ahead, sees that there's a very, very large army. There's really not a lot of medevacs, not really a lot of Widow Mines. They're going to pop off and get some pretty nasty hits on the Adepts, but not even the sentries being touched here. And the Guardian Shield is lasting forever. Amount of Immortal is really not that scary, considering that hero's 2, or Amount of Marauders not that scary, considering that hero had 2 Immortals. But that was a pretty clean game. herO did a really nice job in the early game and just followed through, so not too surprising, but I'm having trouble against Protoss, against herO, I guess still specifically. Another reason why it's kind of surprising these guys just got to face each other right off the bat is that not only there's so many good players, but they have kind of a history too, so. herO's restarting his computer, I think. The winner of this will face the winner of Armani and... don't know who that is. Armani and the other guy that's facing Armani. I think he's signed up before, though. It looks familiar. Ugh. Wait, does ZG read Korean? I know basic words. Like, I can actually read it, but it doesn't mean I know what I'm reading. But for that was really very simple. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, Apollo's sitting right next to me, which he's done before, but I guess I didn't leave enough room for him where he usually sits, so he's kind of like spilling over onto the keyboard, and his paw was very close to the pause button. Anyways, game number 2. In the top left on Abyssal Reef, he is down 1 game. It is the Red Terran aLive. In the bottom right is the Blue Protoss. He is herO. As I am not being filtered through Skype and I am using my regular at-home microphone, it probably yet again sounds like I am using a different microphone, but it's really not. The amount of compression that Skype sends or forces is usually... I mean, it's not the worst thing. You can still, clearly tell it's a professional mic, but apparently it sounds a lot better when I'm just streaming directly from my, my OBS, so. Makes sense. Last game we had 2 greedy builds to start things off. Command Center first versus Nexus first, but that was a lot to do with Cactus Valley. Abyssal Reef, a pretty large map, and you might be able to get away with it, but it's not nearly as common as Cactus Valley. I mean, I'd still say Cactus Valley isn't too common for what they both did, coincidentally, but it does, occasionally happen. And then herO goes for the fast third after that single Oracle, which looked like it was going to get punished by the Marine push out, but he controlled it so well that he was the one that really just went ahead leaps and bounds with it. aLive does not want to deal with this probe because it's not just going to be harassing his SCV that's building the command center. It's probably going to come back later. Or you're fearful that it's going to come back later. A Marine actually pops out, and the Reaper... it's that herO was expecting, not so much. The Reaper takes a little longer than the Marine to pop out, so that probe might have otherwise been able to leave and come back. I mean, herO does do the Photon Overcharge push out a lot, and aLive is probably more so looking for a hidden probe than a hidden pylon, but obviously both are good to look for. And it doesn't really stop him if you kill the probe. He either already had brought one out to probe like a proxy Stargate, or just going to build another one, bring another one out. But it's not the Stargate, it's not the Photon Overcharge push. The probe is, I guess, still going to put a proxy gateway down, maybe. But we're going to have to pay attention to that. aLive going for the 1-1-1 standards. A lot of Terrans aren't going for the Widowmine drop. They're just going for the build that gives them, the most amount of tech possible and defending with it. Like Viking comes out and Widowmine's placed around the map. But if aLive had any indication that herO wasn't going to go for a Stargate, he might actually like go for the Widowmine drop. You can still kind of force it even if they have Phoenixes and Oracles. It's like pretty dangerous that a really good Protoss would have slapped it down, no problem. But aLive has no indication of anything because he didn't SCV scout and he didn't build a Reaper. So herO may be taking advantage of that in the opposite way. I mean, last game he got that really quick third Nexus, still defended whatever push out aLive had to throw at him. This game, chroning out that Resident Enclaves, getting a couple more gateways and getting that proxy down. Even if there wasn't going to be a gateway added on, I mean, slow warp-ins really do suck, but occasionally that is still enough in the earlier part of the game because Terrans aren't expected to be pushed, you know, even by only 3 gateways. It's not something that, you know, you usually have to worry about. It only took a while to move to his command center and fix that. So it's going to be a problem. He's going to go for the medevac drop. Again, if there was an Oracle right here, I guess it would have already showed itself. It'd be like showing itself like right now at least. And the Phoenixes would have only been like 1 or 2 of them at a time, but you still are kind of worried. But it's actually just the Marines. His Woodamine at home. Woodamine even re-burrows somewhere else. Actually catches an Adept moving across the field. Catches a second Adept moving across the field. And while that Woodamine is going to die, and that's very unfortunate because that's a lot. Like that's like what, like a fourth of his army. At least it got some preemptive scouting. This other Woodamine unfortunately did not do too hot. 1 Adept just soaked it up, and all those SCVs did die there. Marines drop in the main base, however, nothing to really clean it up except that Photon Overcharge, but it was in range of it for a while. Whoa, the Marine just went flying. So already cut down to just 5 Marines. I mean, they are powered by a medevac, but of course they don't have Stimmer combat shields, so it's going to take the probe losses while trying to actually break down the supply depot. At the front, Viking lands to help out. SCVs are going to be worthwhile losing to keep that supply depot alive too, as he is doing he's doing damage himself over on this side of the map. So even if that wasn't the case, he still would. That'd be really his only option. Like, you got to hold that supply depot and wait for that tank to pop out. As is, herO is not looking that hot. Still losing some probes. The medevac looks like it died. It did die. And that kind of sucks, because maybe you could have saved that and been even a better spot, but still, those Marines took a long time to clean up, and that does put aLive even, down by 1 worker, okay, basically even, right? And with Mules, which he's now finally get to utilize again on that natural, I would say that puts him a little bit ahead. Sim starts up, and then sure, that tech was delayed for him while he dealt, you know, crisis management and all that. herO, I mean, look back at this, no third base, Resident Enclaves, a good upgrade to have, of course, but usually it's powered by a lot of warp-ins and a lot of economy for that warp-in, and then you do transfer out at some point. That's going to be really hard to do, since herO dedicated so much to it. There wasn't a proxy gateway, which I guess is one good thing. It wasn't as dedicated as it could have been, but that pylon is scouted. Adepts, yeah, I would say they're going to be better off just waiting. I mean, first of all, that Viking's going to try and kill the pylon, but then second of all, yeah, I think they'd just be better off waiting and seeing if aLive ever does like a real push. But aLive just has Liberator here. 3 Stalkers should be able to take care of it. Especially since it's nerfed a long time ago. And it sucks, you still lose a Stalker for it, but oh well. Lose a Stalker and a handful of probes. Still scouting a lack of a third base, and in fact, herO just, I mean, he's got the tools to clean up that Woodamine, but seriously, it's already a lot of work for him to go over there when he's trying to micro his Adepts and his Warp Prism and really trying to find a way back into doing some damage. DT's warped in, not doing anything, and DTs don't really count as too great of tech. But the 1 drops in the main base. There is not a scan available. Yeah, that's like another 20 seconds for another scan. Mr. did build immediately once he saw the shimmer, I'm guessing. So that's pretty good, as there is one at that front. Or maybe he just anticipated the follow-up, of course, when behind Dark Shrine and all that jazz. So the tank goes down, a couple of units went down, a reactor goes down. I mean, aLive, he's not losing a lot of SCVs. Although he is spending a lot of minerals on, you know, missiles and whatnot, but he's not losing a lot of SCVs. He even finishes up his protection at the last second. This is, I would say, only a slight annoyance for aLive. Did a very nice job anticipating this, and again, still knows there is no third base. I mean, it's a little scary. They've done an Adept attack into a Dark Templar attack. Still haven't really taken out their pylon and doing it now, and they don't have a third base. So, I mean, it's herO. Not only is there no third base, but it's herO, and him being like super aggressive with the weirdest build or the weirdest amount of units is really not that surprising. So there we go, a lot more gateways on the way. He's going to be trying to push with Blink and a couple of Immortals, but I don't know if it's really going to work. I mean, obviously it's taking quite some time to get that production going, and the Immortal still has to walk across the map if that is his plan, but he actually is going to be going for a third base. Still doesn't clean up the Woodamine. So it's not gonna happen. And now that the drops are coming in here, he will have enough units, I think, for drops. Yeah, he's gonna take the other third base. As production first means that, yeah, he could have been aggressive. I'm not sure it really would have worked out, but it also means he just has enough units to defend. If this Nexus gets cancelled like even once or twice, though, it's pretty late. aLive doesn't have a third, so I guess they're actually kind of even in that regard. 5 barracks, producing as much as you can here. Starting to run out of minerals in the main base. Upgrades on the way. One thing that herO will not have. Usually you have at least +1 armor or weapons, but not in this game. Medivacs go for that main base. Militia Corps does have energy, but she's just being lazy about it. Stalkers run forward here. They do have blink, but some miscontrol. I think they actually might have blinked forward. That's why they're not being microed right now. But the War Prism comes in to add that little bit of micro. Pylon does go down and depowers 2 of the gateways. That's pretty important. The rest of the folks over not really helping out, and Stalkers aren't too great. The Immortals would do fantastic. There's so many Marauders in here. They're focus fired, but he needs some more fodder for them, and he needs to actually be able to get through the supply depots. DT warped in usually would take care of it, but aLive, you know, doesn't actually have to worry so much about the other side of the map, so he had that APM to go ahead and scan and take care of it. Third base might be down, but it really is more about this push. He's going to be able to transfer the probes that he has at 45, plus he's building a few more, but didn't really scare aLive too much. These Widow Mines still being annoying, and these drops technically still alive too. Viking came in. I guess this is the one thing I thought it was going to be useful for, but funnily enough, it would have really helped against that War Prism. Oh well. Got 2 probes. 1-1 is going to finish up for aLive, and his army is quite scary. If the force fields don't come down to protect the Immortal... Oh, that was a good shot. To protect the Immortals, and they get picked off first, the Blink Stalkers, especially unupgraded, are not going to be too far behind. Most of the army responds to this drop. A little bit of mistake there for herO. Big mistake, in fact, is that's a lot of bio, and will just absolutely tear down the third base. Probes going down. Nothing to really help deal with the Liberators if they get up in this choke. The Blink Stalkers could try. Those first ones are pretty nice, actually. Those Blink Stalkers could try, but they'd be blinking themselves into a lot of Marauders. That is a very large Blink Stalker force, and 4 Immortals is no joke. But herO did lose that third base. There's the blink forward to take care of the Liberators, but they also get absolutely shredded by the bio. That was the problem there. Another Widow Mine comes forward. The other one's going to pop off on both hit the Immortals, actually. Very nicely done. And that actually looks like that means that aLive's going to even take the engagement. I thought he was going to be pushed back, but especially with those Widow Mines, that was good enough. And, of course, he had those upgrades. His army was just superior. And, I mean, herO did kind of, I think, the right moves, though. If you're going to bring back a game where your aggression failed, you know, go for the, little bit of a contain, I suppose, is what he was going for. But more that I think upgrades are going to be what you have to skip. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it makes your army absolutely crappy. And you get a super herO for the 18-month resub. I could have been pregnant twice in the time I've been subbed. Someone pointed out that would have been a lot more expensive. It's going to take us into game number 3. I'm not going to bother doing an ad. The mental effort would be too much. And there's the countdown. Huh. Nugget was behind me. I don't know where she went. She left me. She's an independent lady who don't need no camera on her. Alright, it's game number 3. We're on Newkirk Precinct in the bottom right as the Blue Protoss. It's herO. In the bottom left is the Red Terran. He's alive. Alive and holding on. Again, the winner of this will face officially Armani. It's Armani 2-0, his opponent. Looks like Patience actually did not show up, so Billowy advances already to the round of 8. Just by beating one guy. herO, Team Liquid herO. Looks like he advanced to face Innovation. Not nearly as cool of a matchup as this herO versus the Nation could have been, but it is kind of cool to see the other herO joining things again. Joining tournaments again. And other than that, yeah. Still a big bracket to get through. Probably going to swap matches unless it's too difficult to do so. I'm going to probably take the path of the least resistance, I suppose. In this cast, but I would say preferably, I don't know. I mean, Armani's not bad, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of really hype names and matchups coming up here. Thank you for Montiun, the 1,000 bits. Welcome back. Fortunately, Bit Boss is something that you really need to be the owner of the channel for and connected. Actually, I wonder if I could do it. I might actually be able to do it. So, like, the reason I don't have, like recent donator or recent subscriber things, like Rifkin does, is that once upon a time I had 2 Twitch alerts available, but now you can't, so I really only have the one, and it'll only connect to mine. But otherwise, I use a different browser, and that seems to work out well for other things. Maybe BitBoss would work. This, Googling that on Yahoo is the worst thing ever. Yahoo... Why is everything inferior to Google? Everything. I can't even find it. Stupid fucking picture. Anyways, Stargate is on the way. aLive has been scouting, I think, for a probe as well as proxy pylons. That's kind of, this is like actually where you would usually be, and then he scouts with the SCV. Oracle, of course, on the way first, and then we'll see if herO does go into Phoenixes at all after or transfers out. I mean, Phoenix Depth still works really well, in fact, but you do have a couple of Protosses experimenting a bit more and you know, varying up their playstyle. I mean, they're doing that before the Adept nerf, actually, but it almost looks like in preparation for the Adept nerf, so who's really to say? Point is, there's other options besides just that single follow-up. aLive has been liking, you know, the just getting to 5 barracks, basically, like whether that's based off of a 3x first or 1-1-1. It's, you know, the difference. In this game, of course, it is the 3x follow-up again. So it took a bit of a chance. Actually, if you do things right, that sucks. If you do things right, the 3x follow-up to a CC first is actually quite powerful in defense, but it can very easily flub if you make one mistake. Miss one round of Marines or don't focus fire correctly, but not to really worry in this game, as it is herO going for the Oracles into a 3rd base, double Oracle in fact. Twilight Council Forge on the way as well, and the Oracle, unfortunately not being paid attention to, is going to die. I just have the other one. 2 Oracles could have helped taking out a couple of SCVs on the fringes of the aLive turrets, but 1 Oracle is probably going to have a much more difficult time. aLive turrets, that's what it looked like. I have to be careful. I mean, he lost both Oracles on that Cactus Valley game. I guess he won it anyway, so like there's not really a point against him, but having lost that single Oracle so early, and then this one already being so damaged, holy shit. That would be like, I mean, if that had died, that would have been no revelations. That would have been no sight as aLive preps for his medevacs, and that's the scariest part of the game, is where they're going to send their medevacs and their first 2, and then their next 2, and then the next 2, right? And since he didn't go for Phoenixes, it's not like he has something instantly to defend instantly right now, but he is going for Blink. So there is that transfer out of the Stargate play that a lot of Protosses have been trying to playing with. Still gonna be some Phoenixes. But yeah, he's not getting Resonant Glaive. That was Blink first. Had to make sure. So it's I mean, either way, it is that defense. It's just that 1 Phoenix or 2 Phoenixes isn't really that scary. And the gateways weren't quite ready to warp in a ton of stalkers, so... X, Y, or Z, I suppose. Both options eventually get you to where you want to be, which is defending. A lot of harassment, a lot of drops, a lot of aggression, which aLive is actually pretty good at. I think both games we've seen him prefer dropping first. I think it's actually may just be the better way to go, assuming that you can always save your medevacs, you know, dodge out from the Phoenixes or dodge out from the Blink Stalkers and unload. It's always better to try that tactic first, but occasionally going for the bust at the front is the more surprising, better move, especially, again, if this Oracle dies. Nice Marine hit squad kills the Oracle. No revelation on the bio or the medevacs. They're going to go ahead and push out as the medevacs pop out. And that single Phoenix was supposed to be able to scout, not really do anything, but it was supposed to be able to scout against the medevac drop, but aLive not going to try it, just really going for the third base. Now herO, I mean, that Phoenix still tells him, like, he's not going towards my main. So he is warping in the right place. He has a couple of pylons, of course, as well. We're going to try and catch either Widow Mines or medevacs going a little bit too far forward. Just finds the bio, so has to very quickly blink away. Combat Chills isn't quite done, and they both have +1. In fact, that was a really good force field. Concave gets 3 Marauders. Still a lot of Marines left over, but so is Guardian Shield and 1 or 2 more force fields. Yeah, I think herO could take this engagement. He's not wrong about this. It's a little scary, of course, especially as his Adepts weren't quite on the front lines, and they don't, of course, have Resident Enclaves, but it's just a big enough army, so aLive is going to have to skedaddle. Gateway is placed down as herO preps for a golden opportunity, is the best way to put it. If he does push away another drop, exactly like they're going to push, rather exactly like that, and can chase, and then also has those instant warp-ins that usually a Warp Prism would get you, but he doesn't have a Robo. Yeah, that could be absolutely deadly. And that could turn a harmless mistake, or almost harmless mistake, where you're trying to just run away from it, into a game-ending move. The Terran player. But aLive is once again on those 5 barracks and just pumping out as much as possible. No regard really for the third base. Widow Mine and Liberators included. He is going to have 1-1 as herO has +2, but herO, man, he's placing pylons all over the flipping place. I guess he really had to kind of compensate. He doesn't usually do this, but maybe he's compensating for the lack of Oracle Scouts earlier. 100 minerals is probably worth, as if this drop had gotten in the natural without being scouted, that's 100 minerals plus the powering a lot of gateways, as well as probably, like, you know, 10 probes. Widow Mines are here, and that was not a very good blink forward because of that. That was almost perfect, exactly what aLive wanted. herO without that Robo, and at this point it feels almost, it looks like he forgot it, but I really think he was planning on all-inning once he dealt with the push. Just being super flippin' aggressive with this proxy gateway. But you can see where the problem really lies, is that if he doesn't get that opportunity to push this back, then he might not ever be able to deal with the Widow Mines. If they get more than one shot, it's actually like super amazing. They're either being, you know, Revelation usually sees where they are, or there's an Observer, so they really should usually only get one shot if, you know, your PVT's going correctly. I was gonna say he might have wanted to shade in there. It was super questionable though, as that was a lot of Widow Mines, but the idea is, of course, to try and get the splash at least a little bit on the bio. He does manage to avoid the Liberators almost entirely, so that ends up being the best part about this engagement. Both of their upgrades are done. That's a huge concave for herO. Finally takes out the Liberators as they do start helping out here. All the Widow Mines had popped off on Adepts, but not in big enough clumps. And it is aLive that has to pull back here. This is the golden opportunity that herO was looking for. The one single Phoenix even taking out a Liberator as they retreat is really good. There's that mass warping, no Robo needed. The Widow Mines are still here and available, and that would usually be a problem, but they're not in the right position. The army is caught. He's just going to buy time, I think, for more production, but that is so many Adepts, and while the Widow Mines are going to get some pretty nasty shots and keep getting nasty shots, this is looking really grim. These Widow Mines on the front lines not even getting that great of shots, and those Adepts are pretty damn clumped up. Trying to hold the line, trying to keep the Liberators alive so maybe they could be super overpowered and help win the game. They both lose so many probes. Third base and natural did go off, but it is herO that is still with the army. In fact, he even has like a recall, I guess, if things get so weird that he needed to disengage. Widow Mines are going to get more shots off, and this is seriously aLive's way back into the game, even one popping off on these reinforcing Stalkers. But he's on top of production now. He's really got to help these Widow Mines take care of everything. These Widow Mines have been taken by a Forge, so only 2 left to try and kill a lot more workers to even this up. I mean, this would have really been the difference of either those 4 Widow Mines being back at home, or just like a couple more rounds of production, and aLive might have just held With SEV losses, of course, but it would have helped. But no, GG, herO takes the game and the series. Okay, so he's going to go on to face Armani. If that's the easiest series to get to, then I'm probably going to take it. But there are a lot of other matches on the bracket, so I'm going to take a break. Thank you to Targus TV for the 6 months in a row, Twitch Prime. And I'll see you guys as soon as the game is ready.